frozen there just for shits and giggles. Just be like, nope, not here. Hello, everybody. If there's anybody there, because as everybody knows at this stage, we can't see if you're there or not, so we're just paranoid and talking to ourselves. I'm Jez, and this is the magnificent Adam. So,
hello there. How are we all?
We're all fucking dead. I mean, there's nobody there. There's just us, so that's fine. It always makes these things much easier on my side because I just pretend there's never anybody there. And,
this just got awkward.
For anybody that is aware and that's not aware, I mean, obviously, we're both authors. We're both alcoholics, though we don't tell our wives that. And Adam has joined me tonight. When we do these conversations, it's essentially because we spend a huge amount of our time, right? We spend a huge amount of our time on our own, in our own heads, by nature of what we do. So we started doing these little chats just to get to talk to each other, so it's not as lonely, but also that then other people can ask us questions and you can talk about anything you want, and we can just talk about books. But Adam and I met through a mutual friend, Chatfield, who shall forever be blamed for this. And Adam is an incredible author, but he's unknown to the vast majority of the lit RPG side because he's writing his first lit RPG book at the moment. But you do have a hell of a following already, don't you, dude?
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years. So yeah, I've got a fantasy series that has gone down very well in America, called the Levantry series, which has been really short, fast-paced novels in a fantasy world, which, again, when fantasy readers are used to epic fantasy, it was kind of against the grain. But I have raging ADHD brain, so I can't concentrate with reading massive books. So I wrote a massive book, but kind of split it up into story arcs as individual books, and that format seemed to go down really well. So writing my first lit RPG title, thank you, good product placement there, Jez. Just remove your face, you were just ruining the shot a bit then. Thank you, that's more like it. So yeah, writing my first lit RPG story has been fun because it's already the biggest book I have ever written. But yeah, I've been having an absolute blast writing in a new genre.
And writing madder shit than ever before about.
Absolutely. The story is absolute carnage compared to what I usually write. But I think, and hopefully that'll show when if people read it. I'm at that very as much as I've got an audience for my fantasy series, I'm at that very, I feel like a brand new author again, introducing because it's a new book in a new genre, hoping that people will enjoy it ultimately. So yeah, at this stage, worrying if anyone will read it or find it, but I'm sure we'll get there in the end.
I think we're pretty confident that people will enjoy it. I mean, reading through the stuff that you've done before. For those that don't know, a lot of Adam's stuff it's like the fairy tales gone like twisted 90 degrees, wrong. Isn't it? They've gone wrong, yeah, fucking well is. But they're very different. I mean, you've done like Robin Hood. What else have you done with them?
We've done Robin Hood, Blackbeard, the Pendle Witches, which again in America might not be more commonly known, but where I live is really close to the Pendle Hill, where there's some famous witch stories. Then we've got St. George and the Dragon, where I made him the dragon, so he's a lizard man. Then we've got Merlin and Arthur, another take on the Knights of the Round Table, and then bring everyone all back together for one big story at the end, which I had to split into two parts. So the series has just finished last month, so after a few years of non-stop writing.
Yeah, we did the Kickstarter. It's looking incredible, so I'm looking forward to that, dude. Yeah. I mean, for those who don't know you, essentially like this one here, A Forest of Vanity and Valor. This is, I mean, when I was reading it, I think the best way to describe it is just that you've turned at 90 degrees. It's the stories that we know. It's the stories that you can tell in some ways what's going to happen because you know the overall arc of, for example, Robin Hood. But then it's so different, and it's fucking wonderful, mate. There's a reason that you're as popular as you are. No, genuinely. I mean, read this, really enjoyed it. When you've talked about the stories that you want to write, and you've talked about the lit RPG story that you are writing, I don't think there's any doubt that it's going to do well. Seriously, I mean, a lot of people, almost certainly the people, if there is anybody else there watching at the moment, they probably don't know you, while all of the other authors do, because you've been at a lot, Richie. Because see, Richie knows you. Hey, we've got somebody there that knows you. Because you've been to a lot of the conventions through your own stuff separately anyway, and now obviously getting to know more people.
Yeah.
So you've got a good following there straight away, because a lot of the other authors are all like, well, we've tried your stuff and we all know it's fantastic. So I think you're pretty safe when you launch that there's going to be a lot of people saying, happy to promote it.
Yeah,
So,
well, that just puts more pressure on me to write.
Oh, yeah, totally. We're going to be judging you. We're going to be all going, oh, shit, mate. Shit, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
don't launch that. Don't release that. No.
Ultimately, I just want people to enjoy it. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm enjoying the process. And again, as I continue to write more stories, and there's another series I want to write as well, which is more of a progression fantasy. That I've got tons of ideas for the series moving forward and other series. So yeah, it's definitely a genre it's going to be my main focus now moving forward.
Yeah.
Plus TikTok, I'm definitely promoting it. Yeah, well, and that's it. I think there's a big opportunity on TikTok right now with lit RPG. I'm not seeing many things kind of blowing up on there, but I think there's a lot of potential for the reader base are on TikTok. So hopefully we'll be able to reach them and be able to kind of give them a glimpse and an insight into the book.
For anybody that, if there are any authors there that are watching, you may know Adam, but not know why you know Adam. That's because Adam is often referred to by the joking moniker of Mr. TikTok, because you literally, I mean, you go on TikTok, it's just you fucker. At least 2/3 of it is either Chinese weird shit or you. It is to me anyway, and I'm not saying about the stuff that I search for. It's like,
well, that means you must be engaging with my videos, Jez. Otherwise, it wouldn't keep showing up.
Yeah, I am. It's like, fuck's sake, he's there again.
So yeah, it was 2.5 years ago that I think it was the Forest of Vanity and Valor had just come out, and I started posting some videos about it. And yeah, I think in April I had a video that had about 500,000 views, and then in August I had one that hit just shy of 2 million, and then that's kind of when the kind of shit really got real, and I've just kept building that momentum then, and by January 2023 I'd saved up enough money to go full time and leave my career in the NHS.
So what was it you were doing in the NHS? I know, but nobody else does. So
yeah, so I was, and I have to say was now, because my PIN lapsed in April, a registered mental health nurse. And when I left nursing, I was the complex case manager for Bolton, which is a region within Manchester. So I managed all the complex cases that was associated with the NHS. So anyone with mental health and complex learning disability needs, making sure they had the right packages of care and support to prevent them from being admitted to hospital. So very difficult, very stressful job. Prior to that, I was running complex services myself, which is how I ended up in that role. And then, like I said, February 2023, my books were earning more than my salary, so made the decision to step away.
It's that first sort of the shock, isn't it? The first month when you earn in a month your annual salary as whatever you were doing before, and you go, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think you can easily get caught up in that suddenly thinking you have access to all this money, but you very quickly have to switch to a business brain. And that's why literally all the money that was coming in, I was investing in everything and anything that I could to do with the book series, with supporting other authors. This room that I'm in now was my office. This was like a garden pod that we had built last year to be my office and work from, but just from the TikTok shop stuff on its own, this became too small. So we've had to move into an actual office. And my wife, Sarah, she's now stepped away from her career as a structural engineer to work full time with me, because there's just too much in the day for me to do on my own. I'm still focused on the writing. I was getting pulled more and more away from the writing. Which, don't get me wrong, I love the kind of entrepreneur kind of side of things, but I wasn't doing as much writing as I'd like. So Sarah coming in has really helped kind of stabilize things and get me sat down at my desk more actually writing, because for some reason I prefer having templates to spin rather than one. I seem to be more productive like that. If I've just got one thing I'm focusing on, I find a million things to distract me, whereas if I've got loads of projects at the same time and loads of things going on, I seem to function a lot better for some reason. I have no idea why.
You need that like mild level of panic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you relax too much. Yeah. You can't ever relax. Yeah. You need to be going full bore at all times.
Yeah. Sarah, I drive Sarah mad because she'll say to me, she's like, "Where's your list?" I'm like, "It's all up here." She's like, "I can't cope with this. I cannot cope with this."
Yeah, I started using Asana just because I was doing it all in my head, and then I was realizing that I've got a really shitty memory. I was just sitting halfway through things going, "Oh fuck, I didn't do that."
Yeah, I'm forever doing it. The amount of times I've had to jump into meetings 15, 20 minutes late, I've probably done it with yourself, Jez, because I've just been sat there and got a message saying, "Are you joining?" And I'll be like, "Oh shit!" quickly having to jump on.
Yeah. It happens too much, dude. It's because a lot of the time we are literally sitting about on our own in these small rooms in our head, because you're seeing an entire world and you're seeing, fights, you're seeing everything that could be going on at all times. And then coming back to this one, you're like, what do you mean there's a meeting? You're fucking 6 people just died. You should see where he stuck that Naginata. What the fuck do I give a damn about a meeting? And when it's flowing, when it's really flowing, it's just wonderful, because it's great. Put the cage to lock you in so you can focus on writing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh God. When Paul's in the chat, you haven't met Paul properly yet, but you'll meet Paul at Lit RPG Con, and it's gonna be fucking messy. It genuinely is, because he's a nut job. Absolute nutcase.
Well, yeah, the Jordan Con was really good fun. You guys know how to party. Let's say that.
I think we were quite well behaved, really. I mean, it was our first year, so we were all enjoying. You just loving everybody as always, Paul. You just sharing the love.
Yeah, in Ireland, I was on the outskirts because obviously I had Sarah and Netta with me. So I was very well behaved and in bed at a reasonable time. But yeah, how you guys are functioning on some of those days is beyond me.
I think we were still drinking half the time.
I was going to say, if we can call it functioning.
Yeah. It's always good fun, because you turn up for those who don't know, when we're at these conventions, first of all, we are all drinking quite heavily and partying. It's the only time we see face to face a lot of our friends, which is great. But we're also there because it's work. And so I was doing in Ireland, for example, it was like an 8 o'clock breakfast with a meeting, and we were finishing drinking at like 6. So it was just go back to the room, just have a shower and just get changed. Like, I'll be fine. Just straight back down, have breakfast, and you're in the meeting. So, oh, well, if you want to invest in this, and if you want to put your stories on here, and like, and at the same time thinking, I've got to give a speech in half an hour. Whoa.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're forgetting the part where you had to give a talk.
Yeah, that was interesting. For those who don't know, I got up to give a talk about sort of some aspects of being an author, and unfortunately there was a technical malfunction, and the entire slides that I'd spent forever doing were just black. So I got up and winged like a 45-minute speech, all just like, let's just make this up as we go.
You did okay. You did okay.
I didn't feel like it. I tell you, it was. I saw afterwards a few people sort of showed me little video bits of it, and I seemed quite calm, but inside I'm sort of going, "Oh my fucking god!"
Yeah, it must have been on your laptop because I remember it did come up on the screen behind you, so it mustn't have been showing up on your laptop properly.
It was, yeah. I think it was because I do everything on a PC, and the machine that they had there that it was all connected with was a Mac. So I just think it was probably, it was Microsoft going with things as well. You know how it is. These things happen, and fuck them all. We are professional publisher. Lars, you know better than us. We are alcoholics. We are graceful about it. We don't lie. We just be honest. I'm hoping that Lars can make it out next year or the year after as well, because you in Ireland, you met him, and he's great fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, for a Swede.
I think they were doing, him and Brian were doing a mega commute back to Brian's every night, weren't they? Instead of stopping at the hotel.
Yeah, I think they figured it out that it would have been cheaper for them to stay in the hotel rather than pay for the taxi each time, but they still did it.
Yeah, madness. But yeah, it was really good, really good. Really looking forward to Lit RPG Con next year. So I was just looking at flights before, actually.
And this is Paul to a T. Yeah. Hey, Maria, were the flights bad when you were looking at them?
No, they were okay. Yeah, I think they were coming in at about $1,000.
The grand each way?
I don't fly. Yeah, that's both ways. So that's for a return, but I don't fly business. So I'll just.
Are you flying cattle or are you flying cattle plus?
Every time. I'm from the north, so even if I was a millionaire, I'd refuse out of principle to pay for business, just because it's stupid money.
I agree with you on that, except for one point. If your accountant twists it the right way, it's a business expense, which means the whole thing is the taxman's bill, not yours.
Yeah, I do appreciate that, but
it still galls paying it, doesn't it? It's still
having just had that mentality with my expenses, then realizing it doesn't take the full amount off.
Yeah,
because of how we pay ourselves, I've just been slapped with a very big tax bill.
Yeah. Ours will be due soon. Oh, I don't want to even know about that, actually.
Yeah.
The tax man is a bastard.
It's one of those things that we've just got to get used to.
Yeah. There's no way around it, unfortunately. It's just, it's the game we've got to play. It's, as I say, it's crap, and I'll pay for chest strip and barbecue crisps. Well done, Richie. I approve of this. You're learning the proper lingo. They're not chips, they're crisps. So when I go to America, you probably remember from this year when we got there for JordanCon, there were bags of barbecue walkers or Lays, as they're called out there. That was Richie. Because we can't get them in the UK anymore.
Yeah.
You're tax-free. I don't think I want to know how, Anthony.
And anyway, I thought you weren't flying business class anymore with your new tech.
Well, the plan is that I won't be. That I'm not flying for this one. I'm flying Premium Plus, or the Economy Plus. So I'm in the middle of the two, because you're not a small lad. I'm not a small lad. We don't fit
to be fair,
you like that.
I think with Virgin, their Premium Economy is pretty spacey, so I might upgrade to that. Just because I feel sorry for whoever sat next to me.
Yeah, I feel sorry for whoever sat next to you as well. But yeah, I am. That's just on general principles.
Yeah.
You are the chip man, yeah. But I am looking forward to for wearing it for the flight to see what it's like. Did you use yours for the flight?
I did on the way back, and then realised that I was nearly falling asleep with it on because I was absolutely shattered. So I thought I best take this off, because I'm just going to wake up and have a mild panic attack when I'm on a mountain, and in my head I'm on a plane. So
yeah. For those that are now totally confused, trying to figure out what's going on, we've both treated ourselves to the Vision Plus, the Apple one. It's the VR headset, and it is incredible, and yet so confusing as well, because it's so realistic. and it's just like, what the fuck? So
Definitely.
I've taken to daily when I'm going across to pick up the kids from the school. I'm going over at like sort of 2:30. So I get there about 3:00. I've got half an hour or so before I go in to pick the kids up, because otherwise you just can't get there. The parking's a nightmare. And so people are now going past the car going, because I'm sat there with this thing on, a keyboard in my lap,
Brilliant.
while
Brilliant.
visually I'm on a beach in Bora Bora. So yeah,
Is that,
it's a bit
is
different.
that the one you go for? I always go for the mountain view, the one with the
Which
lake.
one?
The
The
one
lake,
with
the lake before you, and yeah,
the mountains,
fantastic one.
trees. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's the one that I normally use, but I've started just to switch it up a little bit. I've switched across to the Bora Bora one, though it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you seen on the Disney? If you go onto the Disney app, there's some on there as well.
Oh no, I've not seen. I've not really played around with the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch the movies and stuff, but there's a cinema room to watch them in on there.
Right.
But there's also things like Tatooine from
Right.
Star Wars.
Oh wow.
You can just sit there and it's like, fucking hell, it's weird.
It is bizarre, isn't it? Because visually it does feel like you're there, and there's not, the imagery is so clear on it.
Yeah, it's also very strange. Have you tried doing the photos with it when you do the spatial photos with the update?
I've been when we were on holiday, I filmed some spatial videos, and we took the girls bodyboarding, and I waded into the sea with my camera just to try and film for spatial, and it was brilliant because I've kind of put the headset on and can literally watch them flying past me on a wave, laughing their heads off, and it is literally like being back on holiday.
It is. It's incredible. It's also because of the new update, you can do that with old videos and old photos.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Convert them.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
So have a try that. Pick any photos. I did it the other day with one of Xander, my youngest, and this sort of really big grin he's got in his face. He's playing with something, and did it with that, and it suddenly becomes like there's depth to it. It's incredible. You watch it and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So do you do that on your phone or inside the?
No, inside. Yeah, just access your photos and then pick any photo you want. And at the top left, there's a little symbol for it, and you just click it. And it does it in like 30 seconds, if that, through air.
I'll have to try that.
Oh, yeah, it's good. For those that don't know, the reason that the Vision is an incredibly expensive piece of kit. And it's one of those things that you can justify on two reasons. First of all is that it's a production expense. In that, for me personally, it's a case of I can use this and I can shut off all distractions for 2 hours a day. Now, when I write normally, if I'm lucky, I'm hitting 1,000 words in a half an hour sprint. If I wear this and I can work through, I can hit, hopefully, once I've picked up my speed, because part of this is you're blocking out the entire world around you. Well, I'm a hunt and peck keyboard person, so I'm now learning at the same time to touch type, which is slowing me down on it. But once I've got this down, I'm getting up to like 20 words a minute at the moment. When I can get up to 60, which is the average touch typist, which shouldn't be too long, hopefully, it means that in theory, I should be able to be hitting 1,500 words in half an hour. That's 3,000 words in an hour. That's 6,000 words in 2 hours. If I do that for 2 hours a day, that's pretty much my target for the day hit. Now, the idea behind this is that basically I'm using this as a method to try and build my speed, to be able to break up barriers and keep myself going. But it's also because when we talk about these things, we've talked a lot in the past about burnout. And burnout is a real threat to us all. But we had a call a couple of weeks ago where we're literally typing away. We're both writing, Adam and I, and his avatar is here. Yes, I really do, Maria. His avatar is here, and it just looks like he's standing there from the chest up, and he's working away as well. And the two of us are just chatting like, "Oh yeah, so I need to do this, right? Sprint for another half an hour," and it breaks the day, and it's really enjoyable. We have a small group of there's the Discord as well that do video sprints, and it makes such a difference to our lives, or at least to mine.
Yeah, I mean, the Discord group's been brilliant because just from a accountability point of view, it's It's great. The banter is great in between the chats. But yeah, that actually focusing and sitting down and writing. I'm hoping this week I can have some days where I am just writing. I did caught up on a lot of the admin stuff last week, so hopefully I can have a few days where I am just sprinting for most of the day. And it is that fact of I try and use my vision 3 till 5 or 3 till 4:30, that last section of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm finding is sometimes I can have quite a few thousand words written up to that point with the distractions, and then put the headset on and then manage to get 4,000 or 5,000 words done in a 2-hour block, because you are just shutting off all that noise. And then I normally come out to 1,000,001 messages asking, where are you? I've not been able to get hold of you for 2 hours.
Yeah. It's the advantage of the focus mode as well, because it blocks out. There's no messages can get through except for anybody you put on there as an emergency contact. So you can say, I'll tell Chrissy, for example, right, I'm going on this now, and she knows not to message me for those 2 hours unless there's a need. But it means that I know if there is a need, she can get me. So it really does help with it, because part of when you're in the zone, it just flies and you're typing really quickly and it just pours out of you.
Yeah.
But when you're not, when you're slogging and your emails are coming in and I need to deal with that and I'll just fix this. And
the kind of when you work as chaotically as we do, there's always going to be something to distract us. So actually, it's really good to have something like, even with the Discord and with the headset, that does get you to focus. What Sarah's having a blast with is, when I'm really in the zone, is seeing how close she can get to me without me realizing when I've got that headset on, and she's becoming an absolute bastard for it. But yeah, she's got me a few times now, where I have threatened her with divorce if she carries on.
The thing is, I can imagine that as well, having met her out and just sneaking up and doing weird shit to you.
And I wouldn't mind, but when I specifically remember when I did the test in the Apple store, they said, there's this safety feature, so if anyone walks at you, it'll come into your line of sight so you can see them. Except that doesn't seem to happen. So Sarah can stand right in front of me and she'll just put her hands on my shoulder and just frighten the life out of me. Yeah, she's looking for it.
I love that.
Her other one that she loves doing is filming me. So she'll film me sat there, like, with my beer belly hanging out, just like pulling strings in the air, and she's just filming me like, what a dickhead.
Laughing herself. Yeah. Just enjoying herself.
And then she sends it to all the family and friends, like, oh, look at this idiot. I'm like, there's no need. There is no need.
Yeah, I do as well. To be fair, we were talking about this on when was it? About 2 months ago, when you were up this way.
When was that? That was.
It was about July, wasn't it?
July, yeah,
July,
middle of July.
Yeah, so we got together at a little place next to the beach, which conjures, when you say, "Oh yes, we got together at the beach, had a couple of drinks," it sounds like it's really nice and it's very stylish, and you imagine sort of the beaches in Florida or anywhere like that. No, this is the north of England, which means that there were just seagulls dive bombing people constantly. People are running, screaming as these horrible creatures chase them, and we would sort of sat there with his wife and with her parents, and we just talked shite for about 2 hours, which was great. It was a wonderful little break in the day.
If you hadn't come, that's where I knew I had the green light to get this headset, because you were talking about it. I'd already been thinking about it, and you just gave me all the validation that I needed to go and buy it. And soon as Sarah was like, "Oh, it sounds pretty cool," I was like, "Yes, I'm in." I don't have to explain it. You just turned up like a perfect Apple rep and was like, "Oh yeah, we need to buy this, and this."
And at that point, I had gone across and I had tried it. I hadn't bought at this stage. I had tried it, and I was currently explaining to Chrissy, my wife, why I should be allowed to buy one, and she was explaining to me why the fuck I was not. So yeah. How about no?
Yeah, they weren't a cheap piece of kit, but yeah, they've been. What I'm finding helpful is it's already proved its worth in gold already, and I'm nowhere near at a point where I'm completely efficient with it. This is just me testing stuff out and testing my layout and what I'm finding. It's the headspace is what is creating it, making it more productive. But the ease of use, and I'll have the music player behind me, so that's not distracting me, but it's playing music. I'll have a timer going off at one side. I'll have my keyboard in front of me, and because I use an Apple Mac, I can pull my laptop screen into the software, which is helpful. But what I've started doing is just writing on a website called O-Write. That's where I do my word sprints, and then that transfers across to my web browser just in general on my account then. So there's less faffing, but it means I can make sure I'm not connected to my laptop at all, because I was still finding emails will still pop up and stuff if I'm on my laptop screen. So yeah, now I've figured out how to do the system on there. That's been really helpful, and certainly helping getting the words down on this latest book.
For me, it's Word. I just use Word and link it to Dropbox, and then flick across, and it just brings it all up for me. So, and it saves automatically. But the one thing that drives me mad, and you're okay with this because you're used to bloody Apple keyboards, is that Apple keyboards, you bastards, they use an American layout, which for any Americans is fine. But the rest of the world does have valid choices. Apple, you bastards, which is that the number 2, it has the speech marks on a UK keyboard rather than the @ symbol. Now, being an author, I use that fucking speech bubbles a lot, or speech marks a lot. And when I'm writing in this and I'm in the flow, I don't. I have @ symbols a lot instead. And it just jars me out of it each time. Like, oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So
I think when you get used to it, though, where it, as much as it pains me to say, it is a better layout for writing in general. For your quotation marks, it's just above the shift key. So
yeah, I'm looking at it down on my keyboard now. Yeah. It's like, I think part of the problem for me is that I'm using a real keyboard, a real fucking UK keyboard normally. And so if I just transferred over to just using weird American keyboards all the time, I'd be all right. But I'm using a real one.
Yeah, so it was about 5 years ago I started using Apple. I started off with an iPad. The laptop I had a HP laptop that was useless, and I was spending longer waiting for it to boot up than actually being able to sit and write on it. And at the time when I was doing 13, 14, sometimes 15-hour shifts, that hour I was getting up before going to work I was waiting for 40 minutes just for the computer to warm up. So I actually got a really cheap phone on contract so that I could get an iPad that came with it. And then I started finding software to use on that. So that's when I started using Ulysses, and then ended up getting a MacBook. And not look back. I've even managed to convert Sarah now. She's got her MacBook Pro, which I'm fuming because her MacBook's better than mine, which she always loads over me.
See, Chrissy uses a MacBook now after Geneva, the filthy animal. I know you're in the background there, Geneva. I blame you for this. After she recommended it to her repeatedly, and after you did as well, and Chrissy then got a MacBook, and I'm holding out. I'm like, no, I have a PC. It's not just because I can play games on Steam on it either. Though that does have something to do with it. I am looking forward to. I do enjoy the games and stuff on here as well now and then, but it's weird because for those that don't know, the Vision Pro is actually a full MacBook. Essentially, it's a full operating system. It's a low grade Mac compared to like the MacBook Pros, because it's got so many other bits built into it. But it's literally a MacBook you wear. So it's just fucking weird. It's ridiculously weird. But it's good. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, and as you said, it's helping with the writing, which is the reason why we got it. It means we're not being too distracted by them. But it is a good bit of kit. So
It is. And if you're in the house and you're on the same Wi-Fi system, you can streamcast to it from Steam. So on my PC, I can have a game going, and I can take the controller and put the headphones on, put the Vision on, and I can play.
I didn't know you
Not
could
that I do that. Oh yes. Couldn't possibly comment how I found that out, but yes,
that's pretty cool.
It is. It's not as high res as everything else, which is really annoying because if you're used to a high res display from it, and it's like, whoa, this is wonderful, and you're watching movies on it, you do anything else on the Vision Pro, and it's fantastic, and then you stream your game to it, and you're a bit like, oh.
How do you find when you come out of the headset? Because I still feel really disorientated if I've been on it a couple of hours.
A little bit, but I think for me, because I was a welder for so many years, I was used to looking through two screens, and so like a glass panel just to protect my eyes, but then also a reactive lens at all times. So I was used to my eyes just constantly adjusting to stuff. So it's not really been a biggie for me.
Right.
It's also when people have said that they're very heavy to wear and uncomfortable to wear. For me, it's like, well, I wore this for like 12 and 14-hour shifts, so no, it's really not.
Yeah,
do you find that?
Yeah, I had to change the strap to the one that goes over the top of the head as well. And then, since I've done that, it's been fine. It was pressing into my nose, but it's been fine since I've just changed the actual headpiece.
It's nice though. Chrissy bought me the new headphones as well a while ago, and having those over it, the sound is so much better than the normal ones. It's a totally different one with it. Are you using the AirPod Pros? Are you using it without sound, or
I'm just using the unit itself. I've not tried it with headphones or anything.
It's weird because you're like trying to get them over it and in the right position. But
I was going to say, I was trying to figure out how that would look. So Chris will have to take a picture of you.
I have it on the best of authority from people walking past my car that I look like a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah,
but I'm used to that anyway. That's my normal look. So
can you imagine that when you're on a plane?
And Paul, I know you're still there. I highly recommend you do not get one of these, period, because I know you and you would be watching porn and totally forget about it on the plane or something.
He was, I think Paul asked whether we'd watched porn on him yet.
Of course I have. Stop me silly.
Mine's in my office. It's in a building block, so that would be a strange one to try and explain.
Yeah, but you still have. I know you. I know a few others in our circle who've bought them as well, who are all just sort of like, well, I might have looked just out of curiosity.
Might have looked. Who else has got one then? Who else has got one?
Oh, I'm not going to out them in public. I'll let them out themselves. Oh, Manly. Let's not forget it used to be the chocolatier making tiny sweets for all the boys and girls. Yeah. I used to be chocolatier as well. I'm scary enough of myself.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I was a chef for a lot of years, and I was a chocolatier for a while. And a restaurateur, and many, many things. I have been many things in my life.
So how did you go from restaurateur to welding?
When we got rid of the restaurant, we did a deal with a company called Living Social, and Living Social is one of those where we say right, we'll have 100 people a month. We will allow to come through the Living Social platform, and on the platform you get 2 for 1. So you might buy 2 meals for 1 for the price of 1, or whatever the deal is. And the way that works is great in some respects because we get like 25% of that money up front that we would earn over 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And then you get the rest at the end, but you don't get anything between. And when we did the deals with Living Social, we were sold it as this wonderful thing, because what people will do instead is they're coming along, they don't have to pay for the meals, so they just pay for drinks instead, and everybody will drink more and they'll pay for upgrades. And they didn't. And 90% of people came along and just had tap water in the restaurant. And so it was like really limping through that period. But we got to the end of the full time, we'd served everybody, and then the money didn't come in, the other 75%.
Right.
And we chased them and we were like, where the hell's this money? We've like really right close to the wire. We've been serving all these people the last month that hadn't booked in their sessions all the way through up the last 5 months. And everybody's trying to book in at the last minute. And we're like, fuck, We've got nobody coming through the door that's paying. Everybody's just doing tap water, and the money just didn't come in. Basically, they kept saying that they'd just been bought out by an American company, and that was causing issues with payments, which turned out to be an interesting tale. But basically, after 2 months of chasing, we closed the doors. And within a week of closing the doors, we got a message from them saying, as you're aware, in subsection whatever it was, if your business is no longer trading, we don't have to pay you. And so they just kept the money.
That's good.
So yeah, it was a hard time, but we ended up closing the restaurant down. Chrissy and I hadn't been together that long at that point, maybe a year by the end. And we closed it, and I was just totally broken because this was a family business that we'd ran forever, and it closed on my watch, and I just didn't know what the hell to do with myself. And I went into welding because it was something physical that I could learn to do, that I found when I was looking at different careers to have, that I was very good at. I was just naturally cut out from the chefing side of things because you used to, he's gone. Yeah, because you're used to certain motions in chefing, like filleting a fish or whatever. And you're also used to the fact that at times you'll catch fire, or you pick a pan up and your cloth slips and you grab the metal and it's superheated and you're like, ah! But you're also going, I really need this chicken, so I can't drop this, so I'm just going to hold on to it and lift it over wherever you need. So you end up with a high pain resistance. And because of that, when you then start welding, you find that there's a bit of spatter is burning through your suit, and it's burning into your arms or whatever, and you just go, well, I could stop and I could move and I could bat that off, but that would ruin the weld. So I just keep going. And you learn to work through things. And I found that I was naturally quite good at welding, and it was good. But there's also another big advantage of welding, which not many people realize, which is that in welding, it is perfectly acceptable if somebody annoys you to punch them in the face. And that's not the case in IT, which I then went into after welding.
Okay.
And it's a really important distinction that you need to be aware of, because when you try and do those things, it doesn't work.
Does this mean that when you then went into IT, you punched someone in the face and found out that didn't work? Or
I couldn't possibly comment, but there are some places that I was not welcome to go and work in IT.
I can't imagine why, Jess.
Well, as a perfect example of me in IT, I warned them, said, look, I do not deal with printers. You do not send me to somewhere when there's a printer problem. Like, oh, yeah, no, we understand, yeah. No, seriously, you don't send me for a printer problem. And one day, they sent me for a printer problem when I was fixing something else in the building. Oh, yeah, we'll send them down. I'm like, I don't deal with printers. Told you this when you hired me. I don't do the printers. No, just go and have a look at it. I was like, I'll have a look at it, but you're not going to like the outcome. And I went down, I tried fixing it. I went through everything, found that there wasn't any problems that I could find. And so I put my fist through the top of it. And the client was a bit upset. But as I pointed out to him, I was like, before this, we didn't know why it was broken, why it wouldn't work. Now, there's a great big hole in the top. We know why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So this is progress.
Get a new one.
The boss was like, what the fuck have you done? I was like, do you remember when I told you? Don't send me for print problems.
Oh, we just got to zoom out then.
I view that as
What is that camera?
This camera, man, it follows me, but it's gesture control, and it drives me up the wall. It genuinely drives me up the wall.
How did you get it?
It was on offer at the time, and it was supposed to be this brilliant camera, and it is better because I used to look like I was recording these things on a potato, and now it's a much better picture, but now it means you can see me properly, and I'm ugly, so...
It's a bit like mine. Mine's just on my MacBook today.
It's still a lot better. Love you too, Jay. How you doing, wanker? Yeah, see, this is the respect I get. The respect.
TT.
Fucking bastard. But yeah, I mean, so how did you end up in nursing? Something you always wanted to do? Or?
No, so basically, me and my mates were out on a night out in Blackburn, which is the town near where I live. And we're in a kebab house at the end of the night, as is English tradition. and a fight broke out, and instinctively, I've never been a scrapper. I've always been the person that tries and calms things down, and split this fight up, kind of pulled this guy to one side who was the aggressor, shall we say. And afterwards, my friend was like, "You need to come and work at our place." Then basically, he was a support worker and worked on medium secure unit. So people were quite challenging behaviour, and he was like, "Seriously, you the way you diffused that situation was brilliant." So ended up applying for a job as a support worker on a secure unit, and then kind of took it from there. Just really enjoyed the job. Not so much the violence, but the actual supporting people, and then decided I wanted to progress and do my nurse training. So I left full-time employment to study as a nurse with 2 children. And then, me and Sarah while I was studying, got engaged, had a baby, bought a house, and then got married in that 3-year period. So it's a pretty crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
it certainly is.
When it got to a stage where I was having to ring Sarah and say, "Yeah, I'm going to be a few hours late home," because the hospital unit I was working on was in the middle of nowhere in a town called Gisborne. And I was coming home 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, about 4 or 5 hours after my shift had ended, because the unit I was on was really isolated, which meant if I was the nurse in charge, I couldn't leave until there was another nurse to take over from me, things like that. And then, I'd just come home and she'd like give me a hug, and I'd wince because someone had tried to take a chunk out my shoulder that day. Someone nearly took my head off with putting a load of snooker balls in a sock. So it got to that stage where we were like, if I have 3 kids, I can't, and a wife, I can't carry on working in those environments as much as I enjoyed the job. And then kind of moved into working in the community, running complex services, so supporting people from long stay hospital into living back in the community safely and responsibly. So that, and again, really loved it, but doing 70, 80 hour weeks for a 40k salary. So
yeah,
the amount of shit
does explain
compared to what I do now. So
this does explain a lot about the sort of the crazier characters as well for you, because it's like literally people you know.
Oh God, yeah. I have to be very careful. Especially, I mean, the book I'm writing, I've really filled it with pop culture references, and there's tons of Easter eggs in there. Because I just thought that'd be really fun to see if everyone picks up on all of them.
People get it. Yeah,
there are tons of them. It could be little phrases. It could be a way someone said a line, but I've kind of mixed it up a bit, or even the names of like characters and monsters and stuff like that. So it'll be fun.
Things like in one of Eric's books, and he's like, "Witch, please," and it's like lines like that, and you read that and you go, "You witch, please," rather than bitch, please, and it's like. Eric, you fucking legend. You're sneaking shit in like that. And you're like, did you do that? You did do that intentionally. Yeah. It's those kind of things that I'm really looking forward to from yours.
Yeah, there was one. I'm sure I got some Eminem lyrics in there somewhere, but more of a nod and a reference to how it was worded rather than the words being in line for line. I've done it in a way that if you read it, you'd be like, I'm sure I've seen that in a film.
Yeah.
So
it's so fun to be able to hide these things in at some point. Except that I used to do this quite a lot, and then I realized that so when we write books, for anybody that doesn't know the process, it takes anywhere from sort of 3, 6, 12 months or whatever it is for your personal thing for writing these books. Then it goes through the editing process, which is months again. Then you go through the release process, which is even more months. So it means that for me, because I release every 3 months, it's still 6 months after I finish the book that it's releasing. So I'm always quite well ahead. But it means that people ask you questions and go, "Oh, when you did this," and you're like, "Yes," because we've, it takes us 3 months of writing the book or more. and people are commenting on it, and you're going, yes, I did put in a joke about something like that, but I don't know what it was or where it was. And it's...
See, at first I've got a list of when I've been putting them in. I've been writing them down so I could keep track of them. And then at some point I've just stopped adding to the list, so I couldn't tell you what's in there now. And I'm glad
that would have been good.
Multiple rounds of editing, because what I don't want is to end up with some kind of legal case coming at me.
Yeah. Some of the... I've read a few things of other people's things, because I'm always paranoid with these things, just that I'm going to put something in and I'm going to get sued to shit. And people who are actually commenting, like naming artists and naming like companies, and you just... I read it and I'm like, you can't do that, please. Don't draw the attention of the mouse, for God's sake, just...
Oh, I had that with my Forest of Vanity and Valor cover. So when the cover designer sent it back, he obviously put all the links for the stock images that he'd bought to use on the cover. And I had people tagging Ubisoft in it, saying that I'd taken the images off their games, off their Assassin's Creed. I was like, holy shit, like, please don't destroy me before my career's started. And then I had other people kind of sticking up for me. So people would be like, oh, Ubisoft have called, they want the graphics back. And then someone else had commented on that saying, oh, Prince of Persia have called, they want the gameplay back. And it just turned into absolute like carnage in my comment section on a video that was doing really well. And I was like, can you take this somewhere else, guys? Like, they were literally tagging all the programmers and all these software developers. I was like, just stop.
Just, please, for the love of God, stop it.
Unnecessary attention.
Oh, God. I hadn't... To be fair, I hadn't even seen that as well. Looking at it, though, I do see what you...
Because he's holding two swords. But yeah, it was a stock image, and then I asked the cover designer to tear the cloak up. So on the actual image, the cloak's a lot longer, but the graphic designer tore the cloak up. But yeah, that was really stressful, because I was constantly going back to him. I was like, can you assure me that you have not took these off any kind of gift? So, and he had to send me all the certificates and stuff, because I just went into full-on panic mode.
There was an incident about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, in the lit RPG community, where one of the big artists in the genre had taken a mech from... God, I can't remember which Xbox game it was, but it was from an Xbox game, and they'd literally just slapped that mech on somebody's cover, and that author had to redo their cover, which had been doing really, really well. The books had been doing quite well, and they had obviously nothing to do with it. They'd asked for these things, had paid for it all, and that third party had... you've got to be really careful. Yeah, definitely. It's a weird world, man. It's a weird world. So, anyway, dude, so we've talked quite a lot about who you are and what kind of stuff you do. So what kind of books do you like? Tell us more about the books you read.
So at the moment, lit RPG, I tend to listen to the audiobooks, just because, again, my attention span, I need to be in a really good place to be able to sit down for an hour to read. Whereas an audiobook, I found I can listen to it whilst doing other stuff. So, if I'm doing the house chores, if I'm taking the dog for a walk, if I'm going for a run at the gym, I'll have an audiobook on the go. So, yeah, I've been binging lit RPG. And a friend of mine, Mark Retclow, he does a lot of self-help books. So I've started listening to some of his stuff. He's got one at the moment about changing habits or building habits, should I say, rather than changing habits over a 30-day period. So that's, again, it's a mindset thing, stuff like that I'm always working on. But yeah, I'm obsessed with Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I'm sure everyone is. I'm up to book 5 on that. And I've keep listening to all the books that your Legion publishing. publishers keep releasing. So yeah, I've just finished Quest Academy 2, and I've just started Desecrate by Rachel. So yeah,
it's good fun being on this side because you get to read these books before anybody else, and you're like, I've already read that.
Yeah. Then a friend of mine as well, he's got a lit RPG series called King. I want to say King's Quest, but I don't know how it's pronounced. It's spelled Qings, so it's either King or Quing. It might be Queen's Quest. Henrik, he's a really nice guy. I've met him at a few conferences. So I met Henrik in Seville last year before he'd released his first book. So, and he joined my TikTok group to start marketing that book, and managed to get quite a few pre-orders before it came out, which was awesome to see. So he hasn't got an audio book yet out yet, so I'm waiting for that to come out in audio, and then I'll be able to get that. But I tend to listen to the books, but I'll also buy them to go on my bookshelf like a trophy. So yeah, my bookshelf looking pretty badass in the office right now.
I know I've seen yours in the background, and you do have a nice collection building there, dude.
Yeah, and a lot of them are signed as well, so that's pretty neat for me that I'm able to. And I'm always showing Sarah. I'm like, "Oh, look at this one! It's signed." She's like, "I have no idea who that person is." I was like, "I know, but it's signed. Look, it's really good." But yourself, what are you listening to at the minute?
I've been really enjoying Azarinth Healer. So I'm on the second book of Azarinth Healer at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. It's unusual for me because I don't normally. I'm behind with a lot of these stories just because I've been so busy, and as a publisher, I've been reading all these submissions. But I've had to force myself to take some time that's personal time to read what I want to read rather than just the submissions, because it's work and you need some time to relax. But Azarinth Healer was something that I had on my radar for a long time, that people had said about how good it is. And I'd been like, yeah, but it's a healer story. I mean, how good's it really going to be? It's a healer. And I like dark and bloody violent stories. And, it's a fucking healer. And healers are always the cowards who stay at the back and who are like, oh, don't get hurt. Try not to get hurt. I'll heal you. Yeah, fuck off. And I could not have been more wrong about it, because Azarinth Healer, Ilya is just basically straight in there going, all right, I'm healing myself while I'm punching things. And she deals with all of her problems by punching them. So it's like,
your kind of character.
Yeah, definitely. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Apparently there's 4 books out at the moment, but it's going to be up to 6. I think there's another 6 books to come, which have all been taken off Royal Road now, and are all getting worked through the process. So yeah, I'm really enjoying them.
Brilliant.
That would be my recommendation, guys. If anybody hasn't read it yet, if you, like me, you've said no to it because it's all about a healer and it's like, wow, what fun's that going to be?
Yeah.
It's really good fun. So try it. So I'm talking about books, talking about our backgrounds. What about games, dude? Are you gaming at the moment, or?
Not as much as I would like. I am in a nostalgia phase at the moment. So yeah, ages ago, I bought a Nintendo Switch for the girls, and I bought them all the Pokemon games, because that's what I used to play when I was younger, and they have shown no interest in it. And then I've found myself slowly getting sucked into picking up all the old Pokemon I used to when I was 10-year-old. And then been playing a bit of Baldur's Gate. Borderlands is one of my favourite games, Borderlands 2. I think I've played that to death. And I tried picking up Destiny 2 again, but I just kept getting lost with, if I didn't have the up-to-date DLC, it was putting me in parts of the game I'd not done before, and like playing as if I'd unlocked loads of this story that I basically didn't have a clue what was going on, so just lost interest in that. But yeah, I don't really get that much time. Probably an hour or 2 if I was lucky. And again, it's mad when I've got that downtime, I'm always finding I'm on TikTok, just letting my brain turn to mush.
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Chrissy really likes TikTok. I fucking hate the place.
Yeah.
I just can't get my head around it. Let's just show me.
Yeah, I suppose I always say there's two aspects to come at it from, and that's one as a consumer is what content do you want to see on there, and then there's one kind of what are you going to use it for. So I always tell people basically, use it for what it is as an author, which is a free marketing tool. Like the exposure you can get on there, it's basically what Facebook was 10, 15 years ago for authors when you could engage and have pages with followers and share your books and links and people would see it. Whereas now, unless you're paying heavily on ads, no one will see anything you post. Whereas TikTok is kind of steering down that path, but you can still get a lot of organic reach and organic growth. I started a secondary page a week ago that's up to 800 followers on there now. Just filming new content, just using the methods I've used on my main account that's got, I think I'm about 800 off 100,000 now. So, which is pretty cool.
Incredible, dude.
Yeah,
that is incredible. Still, I can't get my head around it. Chrissy enjoys it. Chrissy loves it, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, even saying that, TikTok can be, it's kind of like that toxic ex that it would be really nice to you, make you feel like you're the best thing since sliced bread, but then out of nowhere just give you no attention at all, and like give you all the attention in the world, and then just pull it away, and then suddenly you're like, oh, have I done something wrong? And it is just the algorithm being funny buggers, and you've just got to kind of work through it and ignore all the little mind games it does with you, and just keep posting content. Content is king.
Just keep feeding it.
Yeah, but again, just that's when I stopped being emotionally attached to it in those dips, and was just kind of like, well, if you're not going to give me the attention I want for my books, I'm going to go to a platform that will, and I'll just slow down the posting on that page and go to a different platform like Instagram, where I've got 200,000 followers. So I just jump from one to the other. When one's not playing ball, I'll focus my time and effort on the other one, and when that one does the same, I'll flip back to the other, and that's worked for the last couple of years.
Dude, it's always a fucking education talking about this shit, because people think I'm good at it and I'm really not. I just like do mad shit, and that people seem to like that a little bit and just talk to everybody. The stuff you do is incredible.
It's just finding a way to to get these algorithms working for you, because that's all it is. It's an AI that's running a system. So once you figure out, again, take the emotional connection out of it and use it for what it is, there's nothing to get upset about. If a video does shit, that's on me to get people to engage with the content I put out. It's hard. Whether it's had 200 views, 300 views, 400 views, that's still on me to get those people that have watched it to engage with the content. And if they haven't, that's why it's not got pushed out for more. That's on me. So I don't lose any sleep. It's just that thing of, I'll just post again later and try again.
Dude, there's a reason you do all these speeches and stuff on these, and you teach people how to use it, because it's fucking not. For me, it's a no. I hate the damn thing. I would get rid of social media if I could.
Over your TikTok for a couple of weeks, because I reckon I could get your stuff flying.
All right. Start tomorrow, mate. You've got it. I'll give you access tomorrow. We will sort you.
You know what I was saying before about 10 plates?
I mean, it's not like you're doing anything, mate. You're just chilling out all day anyway.
Procrastinating all day.
Yeah, that's what you call it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we've covered quite a lot there. I enjoyed talking to you, though. I enjoyed having a bit of a catch up. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything you want to tell everybody before we start?
I was just about to say I should probably get going and check in on the eldest, as she's got full access to the sweets cupboard. I've just
dangerous.
Supervised, in the living room. I was like, I'll be back in an hour.
So, with your first series that's coming out soon on Lit Art, like your first Lit RPG thing, do you want to tell us a little bit about it, about when it's coming out?
Yeah, so I've not got a release date yet. It's set on pre-order for August. I'm hoping it will be out well before August. It goes off to. Oh, thank you for sharing the link. I'm going to credit Geneva for that, and not you, Jess.
Oh, it was nothing to do with me. Don't you worry.
So yeah, so
Geneva doing magic.
Yeah, so it goes to the editors in December, which puts a bit of pressure on me to make sure I've written it by then. Then we'll start the dev edits. So I'm hoping kind of probably February, March time. I imagine it'll be ready. In which time I'd hope to have the second book written. So it's called Chaos Blades Guardians, the first book, and it is what it says in the title. It's just absolute chaos. So it's an isekai. Main characters brought through into a fantasy realm as a savior, except it's almost like the wrong person's been pulled through the portal because he's a data analyst and wouldn't say boo to a goose. So when he's given the opportunity to pick a class, he decides he's going to be a berserker because he's sick of being pushed around. And yeah, it's just absolute carnage from literally the second he steps foot in this fantasy world, accompanied by a 10-year-old mute assassin who is deadly as she is silent. She just aggressively sign languages at him throughout the book, and it's just him trying to figure out what the hell she's saying to him. So yeah, it's bonkers.
It sounds it. It sounds it. Knowing data analysts that I do, yes, they would go for Berserker or something equally violent because they generally hate the entire world because they really love the systems they build.
Yeah.
And they love the way the data works and they hate the way that users interact with it.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to kill off anybody from ever having access to that system, they would do it.
Yeah, I mean, Silas he's not a bad guy. He's the guy who gets pushed around at work. So he's doing everyone else's jobs because he won't stick up for himself, and they're always getting the credit for the work he's doing. He's that kind of character, but kind of throughout the story learns how to stand up for himself, and just basically, he triggers his berserker rage by ruminating on his boss, who he absolutely hates.
Dude, I am looking forward to this because knowing you and knowing what your stuff's like already, it's going to be really good fun.
Yeah.
You mad bastard. Well, thank you for joining me again, dude. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I will see you hopefully Monday at work again. Anyway, writing, but
yeah, definitely, and get this book finished.
Exactly. No, a pleasure, mate, and a pleasure to be able to share you with all the nut jobs. So, but we will bid you adieu then, everybody. If there's anybody left there still, and this will now be the awkward wave while we wait for the various technical systems to actually cut out because they're all over the shop. So,
how long is it we wait for?
Or at least 30 seconds, just for shits and giggles. This is when Geneva isn't turning anything off. She's just going, suffer, motherfucker. So you should be pressing.